Well, it's cold. It is snowing outside. It's November 8th, 9th. I think it's about the earliest I've seen it snow, and it making it feel like Christmas time. And so tonight, I want to hit on how do you go from 50,000 to $500,000? How do we 10x from 50,000 to $500,000? And so that is what I want to hit on tonight, and how we can do this with our business and how we can make this happen so that you can grow this business for you, right? And so that is what I am going to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk about what we need to make this happen. And how do we make this happen, right? And what are some things that will help you get to where you want to be at? Now, I know that I've been doing this a long time, and I have seen success, and I have seen people grow businesses. I've seen people struggle with these businesses. I've seen the gurus that sit there and talk about these businesses. And tonight, I just want to give you the raw data, the raw things that would help you scale your business. And sometimes these are things that will hold you back. And some of these things are things that you might be afraid of. And some of these things are systems that you put in place that may hurt you or may help you grow. And so that is what I want to help you tonight. I want to help you grow your business so that you can be successful, because right now, as November 9th, we are getting to the point of leads are coming in, right? And I will say that after tonight, in this cold weather, if you've done any of your marketing, your phone will be blowing up tomorrow. Because if you've gotten your yard signs out, it is going to come faster and faster with this snow that is hitting most of this country up here up in the Midwest. And it's throwing a bunch of cold weather even down into the southern side of things. And so this is what happens, and this will make your phone get excited really fast. And so tonight, I want to talk about how do we go from 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 to $500,000. We can also talk about it going to $1 million, but let's just go to $500,000. How do we get there? How have I helped Jeremy Main to get to $1 million? How have I helped Daniel get to $1 million? How have I helped other people get to $1 million? And that's what I want to talk about, because this is exciting to me. Like, I love helping people grow their business. I love getting the messages from people. And so that's what I want to hit on tonight. So this weekend, yesterday, I went up to Dayton, Ohio, and met with Matt and Destiny. And they had a permanent light job that I helped install the permanent light job with them. It took a little bit longer than what we were anticipating, but it was one of those things of, Jason, do you do everything, or do you allow Matt to do everything? And so I allowed Matt to do all the cuts. It was a lot of cuts. It was 100 feet of material, and only 2 pieces didn't get cut. Everything else had to get cut. And so when you start on houses like that, it takes more time to do that. But you get good at cutting because you have these 90s and downs and corners. And so he got really good at cutting. And so that's what I did. I went up, I helped them get that permanent light job done. They charge $45 a foot for permanent lighting. And so, some people will tell me, Dyson, you just can't get that in my area. And I would guarantee you there's people in Dayton that would tell me you can't get that in your area. And so that's what I love about this business. And that's what I love about helping people grow their business. It's not about being so busy that you can't think straight, because all you're doing is all these cheap jobs and you're not making no money and you screw up things. And it's one of those things that it makes life hard on you at the end of the day. And so I helped them do that. Went to church today, had family day today. And I just now got into my office down here and we had a great day. And so tonight, I want to help you all to get ready for this week because the next 2 weeks are going to be the 2 weeks that are going to really start getting the phone to ring. Actually, it's probably close to 3 weeks because Thanksgiving's a little late. So we went the week of Thanksgiving too, but these next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be the crucial, right? Right now, we are in the time of getting the phone to ring and getting these lights up, and you're going to start seeing more and more lights. And so that is where we are. And so that's my wins for this week. What's your all's wins for this week? I see Brian just put a win up there, and I'm going to read that when I get down there. And my book of the week is going to be Endless Customers, because at this point, you need to be doing a lot of video. Like right now, you should be getting video after video after video and posting and video and putting it on your website and putting it on everything at this point. You're answering all of those questions that you're getting and you're making that happen and you're sending videos and you're making videos. And that's why I'm pushing this book here, Endless Customers, because this book here is definitely a book that is going to help you get more business at the end of the day. So, Matt Gooden said, "We are ready to grow. Let's go. What made you sell your business?" My business partner wanted out. And so that's why I sold my business. Still getting sunburn on the roof in Texas. I will take some of that. Tomorrow is supposed to be a high of 33. Tonight is supposed to be down to 25, but the windshield of like 8, something stupid. There is supposed to be 1 to 2 inches. I was talking to my good friends up in Michigan. Dan is one. They've gotten 4 inches of snow already. I'm talking to Jeremy. They're supposed to get, had a dusting coming already. I know some people up in Indiana have gotten some snow-covered roads. So the snow is coming, and we'll take some of that heat from you. I'll take all of that heat we can get from you there. I pray you're right. I need to make at least a 40,000 to hit my goals. Win. Got 3 houses on the same block, and then quote request from another neighbor as I was finishing up last night. Loss, tried installation by myself, and the job took too long, which cut into my sales time. Now I'm open this week, except for a few quote requests. Need to hire an extra set of hands to be efficient. And even if you can just get a roof guy for you, I mean, I would rather you get a whole crew if you got enough phone calls coming in. But even if you can get the roof guy to do it, would help you out a lot, would help you out a whole lot. Would you do a full roof line in C7s? You can, and I know people that do. They're the same brightness, if not a little bit brighter. The only downfall you have is they're not the big bulb. Those littler bulbs will be just as bright, if not brighter, than the C9s. And the other great thing about C7s, and I know people that run a whole business, they're doing $1 million or more in business doing C7s. And the other great thing about C7s is they're only about a third of the storage. So you can have about a third of the storage for C7s versus C9. So that's the cool thing about C7s. All my customers are so far very, very happy. Had to reschedule our installation, was super windy, had to call it for my own safety. I was laughing. I don't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about, oh, I know what it was. We were at this job up here with Matt and Destiny, and the neighbor was the guy was mowing the grass. And it was an older gentleman, and he said his son was up on a roof, and it was started raining and wind, and he couldn't get down. And I remember that day. One day I was up on this roof, and it was steep. It was a 12-12 pitch, which was steep to me, and we were up like I was up almost 3 stories, but the roof was super long. So I actually had the metal hook that goes onto a 24-foot extension, and I had the extension out 24 feet, and then I tied a rope on it so that I wouldn't, like I say, do as I say, don't do as I do. So I tied the rope on it so it wouldn't come apart, so I could step on it to go down. And all of a sudden, this wind kicked up, and it started pouring down rain, like pouring, like it was just drenching me. And I'm just hanging on there. The wind's blowing. I'm in my big coat. I'm in coveralls. I'm soaking wet. I'm freezing. The wind's going. I'm scared. I'm hanging on for dear life. And luckily, it was only like a pop up. It only lasted for about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm like, get me freaking down from this thing. But we got her done. We made it happen. And sometimes you just have to do what's best to keep you safe. And I agree with that, because the last thing we want to do is get someone hurt. And I know people have been getting hurt already this year, falling off ladders, and that is not good. Thank you for stressing pricing. I wish more people would listen. I know, I'm trying. This is my first year. What is the best way to do quote for trees? I'll hit on this I'll go ahead. Well, I do it by the foot. So $30 to $60 per foot of the tree, depending on what type of tree it is. If it's a tree that loses its leaves, we're going to be anywhere from 30 to 50. If it's an evergreen that doesn't lose its leaves, then, or a tree that don't lose its leaves, then we're going to be $40 to $60. I want to know how icicles work and how you price for it. Issues, getting a few requests this week. They suck. Okay, so how they work? They're just like mini lights. You plug them in to end, so it's hard to do jumps. So that's one of the issue. You either got to cut the plug or see if you can get the plugs without the 2 prongs on them if you need to do jumps. Also, you really can't cut icicles, so you got to pull them back over on the side, on top of them. So you kind of go to the end, pull them up on the top. I just use a regular clip that clips on top of I just put so if this is my icicles that are hanging here, I just take the line and clip it there, and that's how I clip my icicles. And then the last thing is the problem with icicles a lot of times is they'll blow up and get into the gutter, and then they freeze in there, and then they short out, and then you get callbacks. So that's kind of what happens with minis. That's why I would price these minis at 12 to 15 bucks a foot. I used to price them at $12 a foot 5 years ago, because you will get callbacks on them. They look amazing, but they can be a royal pain in the butt. So that's where I would say don't do them. Yeah, I think they're horrible. You can't customize them. All right. So I've talked a lot about how to go from zero to $100,000. I want to talk to the people out here today that's on the live and that's going to watch this about how do you go. You've been in business, you did $50,000, $100,000. How do we go from that and we 10x it? How do we get to $500,000? Because I see this all the time, and people are always asking this, and I want to hit on how do we get there, right? What do we need to do to get there? The people that I have coached and that I have helped get there, what did they have to do to get there? That's the first thing. What did they have to do to get there? The first thing you have to do, and anybody that I know that hasn't been in business for 50 years, 20 years, not 50 years, 20 years, and they've got a good customer rep and they've got a bunch of cheap customers, then that's a little different. I want to talk about how do I get people there in 2025 and 2024, how do I get these people there quicker than these people that have been in business forever? And the first thing is understanding, what do I need to do to be able to get there? What do I need to do that I can grow this business from $50,000 to $100,000? And the first thing is if we don't get our average ticket up, it's going to be really hard to get this to here, because it's just a numbers game, right? First thing, we got to get the leads to get there. But if we don't get our average ticket up, then it's going to take a lot more leads and it's going to get a lot more burnout by doing this, right? And so this is why it is so important that it is knowing how to get there with our leads. So the first thing is, if you're at $50,000 and your average ticket is $100 or $1,000, you've had to do 100 jobs, right? You got to do 100 jobs. Well, 100 jobs with one crew is pretty doable. I would say if it's your second year, it's really doable. If it's your first year, 100 jobs can be a lot. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying that you're going to probably struggle a little bit. And so this is where we need to know, like, how many jobs do I need for this, right? What do I need for this? What do I need to be able to get to $50,000? Well, if our close rate is at 20%, and some of you, if you're a little bit cheaper, your probably price is going to go down. Your close rate might go up a little bit. You're going to need 250 leads. 250 leads to be able to get to $50,000 at a $1,000 ticket, right? That's what we're going to need. So now let's go the different way. If you want $50,000 and it's a lot of, how do we get there, right? Why does Jason push so many jobs at the higher ticket? And here's the reason why. Because when we get there, it's a lot harder to figure out what we need to be able to get there without going the other way, right? And so this is why I preach so much about why we need to get our average ticket up. Because let's look at it this way. If I did 100, if I did 500,000, if I did 50,000 and 1,000, I need that. But if I could get my average ticket up to $2,000, I only need 250 jobs to do $500,000. You can do, one crew can do $250,000. That's about their max. I'm not saying that there can't be people that are going to be better, but 250 jobs is pretty much pushing their max at one crew. Like, to do $250,000 is pretty maxed out at this point. So this is kind of where you're probably at 2 crews to be able to get us up to the 250 crews. So we need about at least 4 employees to be able to get there. So we need 2 good crews to be able to get to our $500,000. And so the reason why I push the $2,000 average ticket is because I only need half the jobs. If I do $500,000 and I have an average ticket of $1,000, that means I need to do 500 jobs. You know, I've got friends and I've got people that do $1 million, and some of them have 2 to 3 crews, and some of them that don't always listen to me have 10, 11 crews. And so they're doing the same amount of money at the end of the day. It's just one person knows how to bid at the higher price, and the other one knows how to bid everything at that $2,000. And so this is why it is important that we want to get our average ticket up there, but we don't want to do a lot of work for these jobs because we want to be able to get more jobs done per day, right? And so let's look at it this way. if you have a 20% close rate, a 20% close rate for $500,000 at an average ticket of $1,000, let's go that way, right? You need 500 jobs. You'll need 500 jobs. That means you need 2,500 leads to get there. How do we get $2,500 leads? Because here's the real secret of growing this business. The number one secret of scaling this business is leads. If you can't get leads, I don't care how great you are at installing. I don't care how great your crew is at installing. Because if you can't get leads, it don't matter. Think about that. To do $1,000 average ticket, you need 2,500 leads. How? I want you to think about this. How are you getting 2,500 leads? Are you doing Facebook ads? Are you doing Google ads? Are you doing search engine optimization with your website? Do you have 5-star reviews? Are you doing yard signs? How many of those are you doing? So that's why if you can get your close rate up or your average ticket up to $2,000 at a 20%, I only need 1,250 leads to get there. You know, most people calling me and asking me how to grow a business, it comes down to leads. I figured this out a long time ago the hard way. And this is how I figured it out. And I have a sad story about this. It kind of pisses me off because I thought I got screwed. In 2014, when I was trying to grow this business, everybody's like, you need to get this person for this website. She does amazing. Your phone is going to ring off the hook. You're going to get all of this stuff. It's a lot of behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. It takes 6 to 9 months. Paid the $4,000. Looked at my phone. Wasn't ringing. I had a guy come this week to learn Christmas lights. And he got suckered into one of these deals, paying $1,700 a month for 6 months, and he don't even get to keep the website at the end of the deal. He's gotten one driveway cleaning. So this is what I'm talking about, what you have to do, and be careful what you're doing. Make sure that you are going to get the results at the end of the day. And this happens. He got screwed out 10 grand. And he didn't have 10 grand to be putting out to this company that screwed him in the end. And so how do we get to this? How do we get to this 1,200 leads? You know, how do we get the labor to do it? How do we get this stuff? Because these are the systems that are going to grow and scale your business. So again, if we're going to do 50 jobs, we're going to need at $1,000 is $50,000, right? If we need 250, 125 jobs at $2,000. This is why I am still being big on making sure that we are getting this done. So how many people do we need to do to get to 50,000? You know, some people sit there and they tell you to hire, and you don't always know what they have to be able to get them there, right? You know, I've told you about Daniel's story of going from zero to $500,000, and it was him and another crew of two, and two crews of two to get him to $500,000. With him on the phone from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning, because Daniel don't sleep. Daniel just does Christmas lights, right? And so this is how he has gotten there from this. So this is what we need to make sure that when we are doing this, of how we do this, right? Because if we don't have the systems in place, if we don't have the crews in place, it doesn't matter. And here's the other thing I'll say with that. With that 1,200 leads that you need, if I gave that to you right now and it's your first year and you don't know how to talk at the phone, you're probably not even going to be at 20% close rate. You're probably going to be at a 10% close rate because a lot of people that I coach sell bulbs. A lot of people on my groups sell bulbs. They don't sell the magic. They don't believe in the magic. They don't even know what the magic is. And this is what you have to figure out. And how do we sell the magic? How do we figure out what that magic is? Because it is super important about how we get these leads. You know, I was talking to Daniel the other day. I'm like, Daniel, I could have gave you as many leads as you have now back then, and you wouldn't have closed as many jobs because he knew what the magic was, but he didn't know what the magic is, right? And the more you do this and the more you figure this out, you know what the magic is. You know that we're not selling bulbs. You can sell bulbs and you might have an average ticket of $1,000. I'm going to guess it's probably less than that. And so, when you're selling the magic, we're not just putting up a front ridge line. That's not what we're doing. We're putting up everything, right? We're giving them the ridges, we're giving them the hips, we're giving them the columns, we're giving them the ground stake lighting, we're giving them a wreath, we're giving them maybe garland, we're giving them everything. We're giving them a $4,000 quote. Some people makes their stomach sick to see a $4,000 quote. And yes, I'm talking about some of you. Sit there and you will be like, does that really say $4,000? I would never pay $4,000. I can't send this quote out. They would never pay $4,000. But Jason says they can get 4,000. But no, well, but I can't get $4,000. But Jason says they live in a $500,000 house, and their house payment is $8,000, $9,000. Jason says that, but Jason, you're not in my area. They don't have $1,000,000 houses in your area. Do they drive those $100,000 cars that cost $2,000 a month to lease or to buy those? Well, but Jason, my truck is paid off. I got this old beat up truck that I paid $10,000 and I put $50,000 in it, but it's paid off. That's actually DJ. It's sitting right here in my shop right here. I just got to poke at him a little bit. But Jason, you don't get it. You don't understand. In my area, I do understand. If you keep telling yourself you can't get it, you'll never get it. That's all I have to say. You will never get it if you keep telling yourself that you can't get it. If you tell yourself that you can get it, you will get it. It's just a matter of your brain telling you that. I see this over and over and over. But Jason, I would never pay that much. Do you live in the $750 million house? Do you drive the 2 cars in the front yard that's brand new within less than 2 to 3 years old? Do you go to Starbucks every day and pay $10 every day? Do you buy the $10,000 purses? Yes, there's people out there that buy $10,000 purses and $5,000 pairs of shoes Do you do that? And if the answer is no, then why are you saying I would never pay that? That's the importance of changing your mindset and start thinking about this business and start selling the magic. You know, I see Mike in here with all pressure washing, right? He's all about pressure washing, right? It's about, it's not about selling pressure washing. We're selling time. We're giving amazing customer service. The same thing goes with Christmas lights. It doesn't matter. We're selling time. We're selling magic. We're selling that warm feeling fuzzy. We're selling when Daniel's customers pull into the driveway and they're videotaping it and they're like, oh my God, that house looks so beautiful at $4,000. That's the difference. That's the difference, right? That is the difference. That moment, he would have paid $10,000 because he's going to remember that for the rest of his life, of his kids screaming in the back seat saying, look how beautiful this house is. It makes me want to cry. That right there makes it worth every bit of it at the end of the day. And so let's move on to the other part of how do we get from 50 to 100 to $500,000. One of it is we have to invest. We have to invest in our business. We have to spend money on marketing. And you know, I usually say 10%. And some people is going to think this is wild, that I want you to spend $50,000. Some of you've never made $50,000 even on your W-9 job, your job. I want you to spend $50,000 to be able to get there in ads, signs, SEO, whatever it might take. We got to get there, right? So if we're at $50,000, how do we get to 50,000? Spending 5K, right? In Facebook ads, yard signs, whatever it might take to get there. Jeremy did $1 million last year in his pressure washing business. He was a garbage man 5 years ago. Actually, it was only 4.5 years ago. He was a garbage man. Went full time in his pressure washing business, Pink Pro Wash, and he did over $1 million last year. He spent about $100,000 in marketing. So it's back to, he didn't spend $100,000 in marketing. He invested in his business $100,000, which ended up grossing him over $1 million. And so this is the part that we have to change our thinking. We have to figure out how to get this phone to ring. And here's the deal. You got two options. You either got time or money. My good friend Bobby Duncan, my good friend Barry Little, they spend a lot of time. They're making videos. They're doing Facebook Lives. They're doing everything. They are doing everything. They are hammering the nail, making videos. They're doing 2, 3, 4, 5 shorts a day. You know, when Barry Little came here for my class just 2 weeks ago, he had made 20 videos, 20 videos in 2 days just of the class. He was down at the Power Wash with Panhandle this week. I had probably seen 10 to 20 videos while he was down there, right? And guess what? He's making $1 million a year or more. Bobby Duncan, same thing. They don't pay nothing in ads. They do some yard signs, making $500,000. All organic. But Jason, I don't sound good on video. You think I like my videos and I like the way I sound? I hate the way I sound. I still don't like it. But you know what? I know it's made for my good. It has made you all millions of dollars. Hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. I've helped people start from nothing and get to 100. I've helped people start from nothing to get to $1 million. I've helped people get to $3, $4 million because You all listen, you all take action, and that is the most important part of this at the end of the day. Is it doesn't matter what I say here tonight. If you're not going out there and taking action, it means absolutely nothing. It just means I'm just blowing hot air going in one ear and right out the other. So this week, what are you going to take action on? I want you to write it down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 5 videos this week. I'm going to do 20 posts of this week, because this is what happens when we do this, right? This is what happens. Look, I love this. Hit a $50,000 week. Going for another one. Thanks, Coach. Chris Wright. He joined my membership 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Broke, literally broke. They drove to their first class, they drove to all the way across the country in a broke down vehicle. Broke. And now they're going to do $50,000 a week. They give back to their community now. They do a bunch of stuff for the vets, which is freaking amazing, because they took action, they believed in themselves, and they made it happen. Are they the cheapest down there? Heck no, they're not down there. No, heck no, they're not cheapest down there. They're not cheap at all. But it's because you don't want to be, you don't get the $50,000 in a week being cheap. That's not how we get there, right? That is not how we get there. So again, we either take the time and put the time in, and we go door knocking, we do the videos, we're doing the social media thing, we're doing that, or we open our wallet and we're paying $10,000 to $50,000, $100,000 if you want to do $1 million. Those are your 2 options. If you're broke, you got a $1,000 cell phone that this camera works 10 times better than what it used to a long time ago. And so this is what's going to make you money. But is it scary? Hell yeah, it's scary. Is the phone, why is it scary? Is the phone going to bite you? Are people going to make fun of you? And the answer is yes. I used to get made fun of all the time. I worked with a bunch of firemen. And guess what? They're the most encouraging people out there of making fun of you all the time. But you know what? I didn't let that stop me, because they wasn't making money. They wasn't putting money in my pocket. I've got people that will not go put out yard signs. They are scared to death to go put out a yard sign. Trisha used to be like terrified of putting out yard signs. Terrified of it. And I'm like, what's the matter? Why are you so scared? I don't know. I just start shaking and I'm scared. Right? Somebody's going to say something. Who cares what they say? Right? Go take action. It's amazing what can happen when you take action. It really is amazing when you take action. All right. That's enough of what I've got. So if you need Christmas lights, I think the discount code is still working this weekend. If you do the starter packs at christmaslights.io, the starter pack is, if you do 1,000 FT, 1,000 FT is $100 off. If you if you do $5,000 or more, you put the discount code in November 5, just number 5. That'll give you $500 off. So those are the 2 discount codes that I have going on this week. And so it is definitely something that is awesome. All right, what's your all's questions? I think I'm right here. I was already experiencing burnout. I took the weekend off. Now I feel like I can survive another 3 weeks. And you're not the only one, Patrick. You're not the only one. I know other people that are dealing with the same thing right now. Just remember, we have about 4 more weeks. That puts us at December 10th. And that's when everything shuts off. So make as much money as you can. Again, you only got 4 more weeks. Thanksgiving is in one of those weeks, so that takes off a day or two. But that is definitely something that you need to do. Phone hasn't rang as much as I'd. Hopefully the next couple of weeks my phone goes nuts. It's back to what have you been doing? Have you been posting? Have you been, don't assume that our phone is just going to ring off the hook, because it's not going to happen. Are we putting out 25 signs, or are we putting out 200 signs? Are we posting once a week, or are we posting 5 times a day? And if you're going to do social media, you need to be posting about 10 times a day, 10 to 15 times a day. And you will see your numbers go up. You can do lives, you can do posts, you can do reels, you can do shorts, you can do text version, and it ain't got to be about your business. It can be about other things. We dissolve the button and boost from top. Fire problem customers and replace customers that have disposable income. And that's the most important thing right there, right? Go find out. The number one thing I always tell people when I start my class is, who is your customer? And people tell me, everybody's my customer. I promise you, everyone is not your customer. Everyone is not your customer. I will say that over again. Everyone is not your customer. Is the broke person your customer? No. The person making $40,000 a year, is that your customer? No. You know, I show a picture of a house in my class, and I always ask, is this my customer? There's an old boat parked in the front. The yard looks like crap. The bushes haven't been trimmed. And they're all like, no, that's not my customer. Okay. So who is your customer? Are you targeting the right customers? You know, even in pressure washing, I love the people in pressure washing that will show the nasty, dirty trailer. Is that who you really think is your customer? Why are you not showing that $1 million clean house that you cleaned? Because that's who you want is your customers. I love going to a big house and you're like, you wash off 2 bugs and they come out and they're like, oh, man, this looks amazing. You're like, it does, don't it? It looks so good. It was so dirty. It looks amazing. Those are the customers we're wanting. Same thing with Christmas lights. What type of commercial jobs did you do in Cincinnati? What was your average ticket of commercial? There isn't a ton of commercial around here, as I don't see much being put up compared to other places. We did several. We did a lot of the entryways. We did a ton of the entryways. I think we ended up doing we were around 30 entryways. One of the entryways was $20,000. We did a church that was at $15,000. We did another church that was $5,000. So it's just, you got to go find where they are. The entryways are probably your biggest kind of where you're at there. Hi, Jason. Got my first job done and came out in the hole because of taxes, 35%. This was the job that just charged only labor and 200 feet of Govee Pro. Installed customer paid $652 in total. Your thoughts? You're going to go broke. Them are my thoughts. It's not about doing, that's not the model that I teach. And there's a reason why I don't teach that model, because that's a model of going broke. Can you make a little bit of money? Sure you can. Can you run a business and a successful business? It's going to be real hard to do it at that. Send me a message. I thought we got it done last week, but send me a message on that one. Send me an email. Send me a message, email, jason@christmaslife.io. My most favorite person in the world. This man right here, hands down, the king of Christmas lights. Folks, that means on everything I have, listen to this man. You want to make money doing Christmas lights. On Wednesday, I dropped, I mentioned I dropped to 650 to sell some jobs. Now that I've done them, now I'm worth $8 minimum. When you get up on that 12-12 pitch and you're shaking like a leaf and you're like, yep, this ain't worth no 650 a foot. There's plenty of customers at low dollar, but the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Do 2 or 3 jobs, half the work and twice the pay as those big guns for cheap. Yep, exactly. This is amazing. I love Chris and Bonnie. Hit $50,000 week and going for another one. So just think about that. $100,000 in 2 weeks. And we're not even in the really busy season. That's amazing. Again, the $100 code off of it is 1000 FT, 1000 FT, christmaslights.io. Yeah, those can't scam. I've been putting the same principles into my health, down 39% of blubber, and from an XL to a medium shirt, a mindset, and taking action. That's a high five right there. That's awesome, Jeremy. You know, because your health is your wealth. You can be a millionaire, multimillionaire. If you don't have good health, you're just miserable, right? So your health is your wealth. The 4-week timeline gives me scared courage to kick it in gear. Posting in yard signs. Great service. Got my order today. Thanks. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this week, wow. How much should I charge for net lights? I don't know. I have never done net lights. I've never done net light. I'm assuming that my buddy Mike must have put me out on blast tonight because we're at 250 people sitting in here. What is your all's questions? What is your all's questions for Christmas lights? Again, Christmas lights. I love Christmas lights. What I've coached the most is mindset and growing your business. Um, that's what it's all about. This is a good question. What happened to the Sam 60-inch wreaths? I have no idea. I've been using those since 2014, and I have no idea what is going on with the Sam 60-inch wreaths. I really don't have a clue. What I do know is that at this point, there is a difference between, and here's the thing, I know at Christmas lights, the 60-inch and anywhere else on that you get a good commercial wreath, they're crazy expensive. And I don't say this a lot, but I am going to say it because I am here to help you guys, is I have actually went and got there's some best ones at Amazon. I don't know what it is called, best product or whatever, a 60-inch wreath. The only thing I don't like about them is the lights on them. If you have warm white lights, they're more of a sun warm white. They're down. So how we measure lights, so you'll see that in the website, it'll say sun warm white, but typically there's going to be a Kelvin, a K word. So it'll say like 3000 K, 2600 K. And what that means, or if we go to pure white, it's 5,000 K or 8,000 K. And what that is the brightness of the light. And so they're measured in kelvins, and that's how they're measured. So a 3000 is a warm white light, and so it's a little bit brighter. When we go down to the 2600, it's a little bit more yellowish. And you'll see the little bit more yellowish part of it. And so when you see that yellowish part, that's just the way that they are. When we go up to 5,000 K, that's pure white. And then when we go up to like 8K is more like a cool white, and it's almost like a blue. So the ones from Sam, or the ones from the cheaper ones from there, they're only like 150 bucks, 129 or 150 bucks. They're not as strong, and they're gonna probably last you 1 or 2 seasons, but you're not paying a lot. So if you're gonna get the good wreaths, I would probably go with the 48 inch. And or if I went with the cheaper wreath, I would go with those other wreaths, because the Sam's wreath and the 48-inch wreath are probably going to look about the same big. The big, I know one says 48, but if you get that Sam's wreath and you actually measure it, you got to be a really, really good fluffer to get that thing out to 60 inches, like a really, really good fluffer. And if you don't know what a fluffer is, don't look it up online. It will scar you. But again, this is kind of where you are for those lights there. Yeah, 370 as a side gig customer, was thrilled. I should have gotten a good review from him. Absolutely. Pat Riley did my first ever RGB. Wow, game changer. Awesome. Awesome. Send me pictures of it. I like to see pictures of it. Average charge for wreath and garlands. So typically, depending on how much you're going to pay for your wreath, you're going to be somewhere in the ballpark of anywhere, depending on if you're talking like the 24, 48, 36, you're going to be anywhere. So in the 48, you're probably going to be about 200 to 450 bucks. For the 60-inch wreaths, you're going to be anywhere from about 350, 400 to about $800, depending on how much you're getting it. Garland, to get good garland, you can get cheap, crappy garland, and you're going to have cheap, crappy garland. But if you want good garland, you're going to pay anywhere from about 60 to 80, $90 per strand, sometimes even more than that. And so because it's nice and full and it has more points and it has more lights, and so you're going to pay, like I say, that. So I always tell people you're charging about 180 to about $250 per 9-foot section of garland. So most doors are going to take 2 to 3. So you're looking at about $500 to $750 for the garland. Are you asking a client to save card for payment or collecting before you leave the job? Have one that slid by who didn't save card on file. You really want to try to get the card on file so that way most of the time you're not going to have to worry about it. But if you got to go chase money, that is the worst. Chasing money is the worst. It doesn't matter if we're talking pressure washing, Christmas light. It don't matter. It sucks. Zach, from now on, I'll be charging $175 per 50 feet. Comes out to just under my market competition. Who cares about your market competition? Who cares? You know why I say who cares? Because they're all broke. So do you want to be broke? That's what happens when you start worrying and I'm going to do it better than them, right? It doesn't matter. And people tell me, Jason, I do understand. You know, one of the person that tells me that I don't understand, he literally raised his prices 20%. And guess what? His close rate didn't go down. Guess what? His money went up. He lost very few customers. So if you can tell me you can raise it 20%, you can tell me you can raise it more than that. And so that's why I don't care what that is. Carrie, I set it up in Jobber to require clients to save payment on file. Yes, that's what I would do too. If you have not used Jobber, you can go to christmaslights.io/Jobber and get a discount. And you can use Jobber. I recommend Jobber. I like Jobber. There's other good CRMs out there too, but Jobber, the one thing I like about it is the line items of where you can put the pictures in there and people can unclick and click. So then that way you can make more money off of it. Has anyone else had issue with flimsy yard signs? Mine are weak. The company I've been using switched to something else called Smart Loot. That's interesting. What the profile of a good crew member? They show up. They're breathing. There you go. Most people I know have spotty availability. For someone who's fully available, I have to tell them it's a new business and certain hours aren't guaranteed. Yeah, that kind of makes it tough. I would say some things that make a good employee is, are you a good leader? Are you a good boss? Because those are things that are important. You know, I love people be like, man, I've had 20 employees last year. And I'm like, do you think it's the 20 employees' faults? Or is it you've been firing the wrong person? And they'll be like, what do you mean I fired them all? I know what you mean. You should have fired yourself, right? Because you can't tell me that 20 people suck. I can tell you that you probably suck at this point. And so, pay them well, but it's not always about pay. It's, treating them like a human being and have good systems in place. Do you have checklists? Are you checking the checklist? When you're out on the job, are you doing what's on the checklist? Because how can I expect them to do, they're only going to do 80% what you do. So if you're only doing 80% and they're at 60%, whose fault is it? It's your fault, right? And so that's why that is so important. I've had good luck with the 3 I bought from Amazon. They're almost the exact same as mainly on $400 ones, but they are like sun warm. Yeah. Yeti, I'm having a hard time getting credit card payments with Tinsel. I emailed Tinsel and no response. I would reach out to Zach Mark Maker or whatever his name is. He's usually pretty good about reaching back. Are there any installers offering finance? If so, finance companies are running through. A lot of them use like Jobber. I know Jobber has one and you can do it through them. I have Square and Business Venmo. Should I do Stripe instead? They're all about crazy. Jobber really embraced AI. It saves a lot of time. But you're paying $400 a month is what you're paying. So that's the issue with it. Again, if you need Christmas lights, go to christmaslights.io. I have all the lights that you need. We have fast shipping. You will get it within 2 days, typically, maybe 3 days. Again, christmaslights.io. The new rate put me basically between $6 and $8 a foot. So go to $8 a foot. There you go. So, what is your all's goals this year? What is your goals and what's your questions? Is that the only questions you got? Carrie, I like Carrie. Carrie came to one of my classes this past year in August, I believe it was July or August. And he has come out of the gate kicking hard. Got the Ridge Pro in, and my confidence has gone up. Again, let's talk about safety. Falling off of roofs is a real thing. Make sure that we're staying safe up on these roofs. It is dangerous. You can fall off these roofs. I've known people that fall off. There's been people that have fallen off. Last week, there was a guy fell off the roof and broke both legs. So again, it's about staying safe up on these roofs. Get your cougar paws, get your feelers. I like the feelers too. This is his second year using feelers instead of the cougar paws. He likes them because you got a little bit more ankle play. christmaslights.io/shoe. Don't put the S on it, just shoe. And it works. They actually work a little bit better than the cougar paws. They only last about 3 to 4 weeks, but so do the pads. So they actually work really well. So definitely, I like the feelers. I like the cougar paws. But those are the two that I like those two. So again, talking about roof safety, just remember when we're up on these roofs, It is dangerous, and it is important that we make sure that we're staying safe. Again, one trip, I was talking, I got a guy that matched me, and he literally was not even on a steep roof, and he stepped back one time, and there was no roof there. So whether we're pressure washing or Christmas lights, it doesn't matter. We got to be careful, pay attention where we are. He fell 30 feet, broke both legs, and was in the hospital, couldn't walk. And now that he's walking now, again, we just got to be careful with peer on these roofs. Kerry has fallen off of a ladder before when he was doing gutter cleaning with the roof thing, with the roof. So we just got to be careful up on these roofs because it is very dangerous. Jobber is also great for onboarding support, live video call support to get you set up with the platform. Carrie, we are screwing the Ridge Pro. Are you screwing the Ridge Pro into the roof? Carrie is a great dude. Love seeing him crush it. He is a great dude. Carrie is amazing. I was talking to him, and the last I've talked to him, he's like at $25,000, $25,000 in a Christmas light business. And so it's amazing to see how well he's done in this year alone coming in. And so there's no reason he can't hit 50 to 150 to 75,000 this year. And so it's awesome to see him going at it. Okay, thank you, Jason. $20,000 in revenue. Stop making hot mails. Did 2 installs and seen from a previous installer. It is true that we need to stop making hot mails. We don't need no hot mails there, right? Hot mails are ways to get people hurt or killed. If you're up on a roof and you unplug it and you touch it and it shocks you and it startles you. I had a guy as an employee that he would take the plugs, and he learned this from the guy on the roof. The guy on the roof did this, and so he started doing it. So he would take the plugs, and you know how hard these are to get on and off. He'd take them out and slide them on with his teeth. And I always told the guy on the roof, I'm like, you break your teeth, I'm not buying you new teeth. And so this guy was on the ground and did it, and it burnt through his lip, and it knocked him on the ground. Now think about if he was up on the roof and it knocked him down on the roof, and then he fell off the roof. So that's the problem with hot mails of when we unplug this and this is hot. One, it could short out and catch on fire. That's a no-no. Or it could shock you and make you lose balance and cause you to fall off the roof. And if this goes right, 110 can kill you, right? If it goes across your heart just the right way, it can be a bad day for you that way too. So these are the things that we have to be careful when we're out here doing these things and making sure that we are paying attention to what we are doing. Because if we don't pay attention, bad things can happen really, really fast. So again, make sure that we are paying attention so that way we can stay safe. If you need any help, you can message me on my Facebook, Jason Guyman. You can text me at this number here at, find it here, phone, at 855-619-5483. If you want to know when I go live, you can text the word light, L-I-T-E. And every time I go live, I send out a message. If you have any questions, you can call me at this number. You can text me at this number. I prefer text, but I will answer the phone if you do call. If you've got any permanent light jobs coming up, or you got any jobs that you need help knowing what equipment you need, I want to help to assist you in getting what you need. And so anything I can do to help you grow your business, let me know. I love helping people grow their business. I love seeing success. That is my favorite thing is helping people get success, because I love helping people that would never think they could make $100,000 and they go and make $100,000. That is the most favorite thing of my mind. And then when I get you to 200 and a half a million and a million, it's even better. We use a remote during installs, thanks to your advice. Been a huge help with not having to go back to check new connections. They're up and down to check the new connections. I mean, I think everyone should start installing with the lights on. So that way, you know that when the lights are working, you also know that that bulb isn't screwed in all the way and you're up around that 12-12 pitch at the peak, because that's always the one that never works. It's never the one that's an easy place to get to. So that's another reason why. And the other thing too is when you're cycling those lights, a lot of times you might see a light that may not come on one time or two, and then that's another reason why that is great for them. I read when splitting SPT1 cable, the rib side should always be on the smooth side and the smooth side on the left. Is that true? Here's the deal. So that's called polarity. And polarity runs through the light, right? And so polarity is something that used to be important. And here's why it used to be important. Because when back in the old days, when we started working on LEDs, an LED is a light emitting diode. A light emitting diode. And a diode is like a one-way check valve. It will allow electricity to go one way, but it won't allow electricity to go back the other way. And when it allows electricity to go through that way, it turns the light on. So that's the LED part of the diode. So that's the LED part of the diode. So it allows electric to go one way, but not the other. So that's why polarity used to be very important, because if you didn't put polarity right and you didn't do it right, it wouldn't allow it to go through that bulb the right way, and it wouldn't work. With these new LEDs, they've got something inside the bulb here, inside the chip, that makes the electric go the right way. So that is why we have that bulb in there, and that's why we do these bulbs, and it doesn't matter about polarity in these bulbs. I have never worried about polarity since about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I've never had to worry about polarity. I never sit there and do my thumb and do that. I know there's going to be gurus in here to tell me, well, Jason, you're blah. I've done it 1,000 times and I've never had an issue with it. Never had an issue with that. And so I'm not going to say the 1,001 time that I won't, but this is definitely something that, as we do this, it is something that doesn't matter whether it goes one way or the other. When I first started, it did matter, because the old incandescents, it mattered, and the original LEDs, it mattered. But now they don't matter. You can plug them up backwards and they're going to work just fine. I promise you, they're going to work just fine. So again, that's what happens. Are starter packs going down in price as we get closer to 12/1? No. In fact, we're starting to run out of product on certain things. And we're not the only ones. All of the companies are starting to run out of product. We've sold a lot of product this year. And so it's not that we're out of all of the starter packs. Usually the starter packs go down December 20th is when they go on sale. I'm just telling you how they are. So right now we are like minis. A lot of companies are struggling with minis right now. We've got them, and they're coming. But again, minis have been a hot item this year. So if you will need minis, or you thinking you're going to need minis, you need to get them ordered, because they are in. And we're not the only ones. I mean, my buddy Daniel's been trying to find white minis forever, and there are not a lot of them out there. So again, we got them. So if you need them, ChristmasLights.io has them, and we can get them to you. But there is some things that that has been selling like hotcakes, and Minnie's been to one of them. So typically it don't go down. The only time they'll go down is at the end of the year when it's pretty much over. So you got to get what you need. So with that, if you need any Christmas lights, again, ChristmasLights.io, let me know what you need. I can get it to you. We get it to you within 2 to 3 days. It's like 70%. We get it to you in 2 days. We ship the same day that it comes in. So if you order today, it's getting on the truck first thing in the morning coming your way. Again, it takes 2 to 3 days. We're at like 90%. We'll get to you in 3 days. There's been a couple things that puts us at the 10% that might take more than 3 days, but most majority of everything has been coming in 2 to 3 days. Like I said, I think we're at 60 or 70%. We'll get there in 2 days because we're shipping out of Indianapolis, we're shipping out of Utah, we're shipping out of Texas. So if you need anything, just let me know and we can get it to you fast. If I can help you in any way, if you need help with anything, let me know. ChristmasLights.io. I love helping people grow their business, and so that's where we are. And so with that, this week, answer your phone, answer your phone, answer your phone, and get these quotes out fast. Don't wait till that night. Get that quote out within an hour. It's super important that we get these quotes out within an hour. I promise you, it is super important to get these quotes out within an hour. So with that, if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. ChristmasLight.io will take you to the shop. With that, hope you all have an amazing week this week. Go be great and go take action and make things happen. We'll see you all later.